Sfas Emes in Parsha Tzav, Shnas Tov Reish Lamed Daled, says Zois Teres Ha'olam. He recites the Medrash, Zohar as well. And Machshava Ro is the Olam. It comes up, and what you're supposed to do with it is burn it for Hashem, because Olam is actually brought, the korban oila, the offering that's solely consumed in the mizbeach, is brought for the thought and the heart. And that's why the Medrash and Zohar are associated with the thoughts. When a person burns it until it becomes ashes, and he nullifies it totally, then there is a good that comes out of it. As it says, B'chol avavcho. Person has to serve Hashem. Levavcho means both parts of the heart, the good and the bad. And there the Zohar Kodesh says this as well in Vers Chanan. Mitzvahs Trumas Hadeshen. And that's the concept of the first action that takes place in the Beis HaMikdash is the removal of yesterday's ashes. That it has the concept of removing something that has become ash. And this mitzvah would seem to be basically by the korban of oilo, because it says Dichsiv Zois Teres Ha'olam. This is the law of oilo, and then you have to take off the Trumas Hadeshen. That's at the end. But that tells you that what ultimately turns into ash can be, therefore you can take thoughts and totally remove them. That's the first mitzvah in the morning, that the Kohanim would go up on the mizbeach and take off the ash. And today, as well, the Sfas Emes says that we don't have korbanos. We can keep this truth by willing and being able to give our all for Hashem every night, as it says in the Forshim in this Parsha. And through the Mesiras Nefesh, through our willingness for total devotion, we can destroy or rid ourselves and consume in fire, holy fire, every thought that comes upon us every day. And from this itself, a person can have an awakening in the morning to know, okay, I woke up, I may have had incorrect thoughts yesterday, but it's just like removal from the mizbeach. I have to take off the ashes, so I will remove from myself these thoughts as well. Now, in the Sfas Emes, Parsha Zochor, in again 5634, he says he wrote this not totally clearly. So let's see what we can do with it. Tzav is a lotion to zeros. That must have been Parshas Tzav and Zochor together. Tzav is a zeros immediately and for generations. Every action that we should do is something that can have constant existence. He should place that willingness to swiftly act in his heart. The person brings a person, because swiftness in dealing with something brings a person to Hasidus. And Amalek, Yimach Shemoy, V'zichoi, wanted to take away this swiftness of Bnei Yisrael, slow them down. And as it says, Chamushim Klal Yisrael left Egypt armed, ready to go, all fired up, all prepared. And Amalek came along, he cooled them off. And Rashi said, as we find in Rashi, that's remembering if it's within the internal strength of man that his main strength is in a place where there's no forgetfulness, and the main need for action comes through the happiness that a person remembers how his actions can reach heavenward. And the truth is that this humbleness is a way to achieve overpowering those things which prevent a person from doing something. As he says, my grandfather, the Weekly Parsha said in the name of the Chayzer Lublin, Zochor, because simcha, happiness, and humbleness are actually one and the same. A person is humble, he has simcha. And a person knows that he's distanced from truth, and still he can come close to Hashem at every moment. This gives him the strength and more. Not just strength, but more so. Therefore, the word zer and Zohar are made up of the same letter, just changing the nekudot, how you pronounce it. And as long as your humbleness, your willingness to belittle yourself does not bring you to depression, it brings you to happiness, that's a good sign. And that is a way to keep this concept. And that's why Roz, he says, it's interesting, Roz, the secret of happiness, the way you might say, secret, Roz, is the exact numerical equivalent of or, of light. Therefore it says, that light which you have hidden to those who fear you, that it shouldn't be outward, seen visibly. It's considered part of this action of being swift about doing things. And after Yetzias Mitzrayim, Bnei Yisrael received the Torah. It says Hashem Oiz Lamu Yitain. That's Torah. After Yetzias Mitzrayim, you need a special shmira. That's through Torah, because there are two ways of humbling oneself. One is by going into the exile and being humbled from the troubles. When you go out from the troubles, you still have to have that humbleness through Torah. The person can see with depth of wisdom, and he has a shame and a willingness to serve Hashem. And therefore, Amalek came first after Yetzias Mitzrayim, even before Kabbalah Hatorah, because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to do anything afterwards. Chazal established that we should read on Parsha Zochor on Shabbos Kodesh, because Shabbos Kodesh would seem to be the appropriate time to erase Amalek, even though we're going to read it on Purim, which is also a reading of the Torah, but then it's in the weekdays. And that's why it says, when God will let you rest from your enemies. So we have spiritual rest on Shabbos. And this we can also have on Shabbos the source of life to remember Shabbos. That helps us to remember what not to do as well. We should receive the main life of Torah that's found in every Jew in the depth of his heart, as we find in Shabbos Nit and Torah. That's why Torah was given on Shabbos as well, to assist the person in his ability to comprehend Torah, to keep Torah, to teach Torah, to learn Torah, to adhere to Torah. And it says, we say that we combined in one unit. This is Parsha Zochor, to know that there is where his life, the source of all life, is hidden. Chovov 26, as we know, is the gematria of Havaya, Yud Kei Vov Kei. Yud Kei Vov Kei, which is 26. In the depth of man, and that's the secret of the oneness. That oneness is echod and echod. If you take one and one, you have a complete thing. Klal Yisrael with Hashem, 13, echod is 13, and Hashem is 13. Together, you come to the secret of how one can overcome their evil desires, both through the oila, destroying bad thoughts, through Torah, through Shabbos, and through remembering. If we forget for a moment that we have enemies, then we can find ourselves suddenly confronted. May we be able to merit that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, כי מוחי אמך זרחה המולג מתחת השמיים.